Hi everyone, this video goes with your summary, paraphrase, and quotation activity. I'm just going to be walking you through the difference between those three, as well as showing you how to do a little bit of analysis on some of your ideas. This is preparing you to start writing your big paper that will be due in about 3 weeks. So the reading for this is going to be section 36B and 36C in your textbook, enclosing borrowed language and quotation marks, and putting summaries and paraphrases in your own words. So we've actually been practicing using quotations, and the majority of you came into this class pretty familiar with how to do that. So the benefit of just looking at that 36B section one more time is going to be that you're going to see another model of how to use the parenthetical citations and the author and date system. And the author and date system, again, is where you include the author of the piece, and the date always goes right next to the author in parentheses. So take a look at that. But we're mainly going to be focusing on the idea of summary and paraphrasing ideas in your own words, how those work together with quotes to make your paper stronger, and then again, how to do a little bit of analysis on that. So if you look at 36C, the authors talk about the difference between a summary and a paraphrase. So a summary condenses information. So it takes an idea, maybe a big idea. You could summarize an entire article or just summarize one idea from a paper into one sentence. So it takes a lot of information and it condenses it into one. A paraphrase is a little bit different. It conveys the same information in about the same amount of space, but it puts it in your own words. And I'm going to walk you through a little bit and show you a summary and a paraphrase that I did. But remember that. So a summary takes a summary takes the same idea but puts it in fewer words. A paraphrase puts it in different words but about the same amount of words. And I wouldn't get too technical with counting your words to make sure they're the same amount. It's not that important, but just think that it should take up about the same space that it did in the original source. So it is technically plagiarism if your words are not different enough from your original source. And the book walks you through the idea of half copying, or what they call patch writing. This is where you really just plug in synonyms to make the text look different, but you're using the same sentence structure. So if you've ever copy and pasted a sentence or a paragraph from a source and then just change out a couple of the words, that is what they call patch writing. It is a type of plagiarism. So try to avoid that. Not only so that you don't get accused of plagiarism, but also because it's actually not your own words. And, I think I've mentioned before, but anything that you can write on your own will be better than something that you borrow from somebody without appropriately citing them. Okay. So they give you an example there, a quote from the Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation. And they show the first type of plagiarism, which is unacceptable borrowing of phrases. So the phrase that they've borrowed there from the original source to the plagiarized source is, range of important potential contributors to the rise in childhood obesity that are unrelated to the media. So you see, we have a lot of the same words from the original. So this author has changed, we still have range of, and then they've changed important to significant. And we have potential contributors to the rise in childhood obesity and then we have not linked, replacing unrelated, and then we have to media again. So again, you can see where that really, they have only just changed out some of those words, right? So that's unacceptable. And then they have another type of plagiarism on the next page that shows you the idea of borrowing a structure. So if we look at this model compared to the original, we have, according to the Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation, experts have identified So in the original, we have experts have pointed to. So again, we have identified replacing pointed to a variety of significant factors, replacing a range of important potential contributors, causing a rise in childhood obesity to the rise of childhood obesity, factors that are not linked to media. So again, that one is a lot, it seems more different than the original, but we're still taking the structure. Maybe that's the order of the ideas that they talk about, or maybe that's, using, just replacing some of those verbs. It still is basically the same sentence. It just has different words plugged in. Okay. So keep that in mind. The acceptable paraphrase they use says a report by the Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation described sources other than media for the childhood obesity crisis. So this is similar in length. It is two lines long, whereas I think the original is 3.5 lines long. So it's a little bit shorter, but not significantly shorter. But it has a very, very different structure, right? That very, very different sentence structure. And it also has very few of the same words that wouldn't be absolutely necessary. Probably media is a necessary word because that's part of the main idea. Probably childhood obesity is a main idea. And of course, we have the author, the Henry J. Kaiser Family Foundation, and the year. But really, other than that, we don't have much that's similar. So keep that in mind as you're borrowing, as you're writing your paper. We want to be really careful that we're not plagiarizing and that we're putting things in our own words. The other benefit to putting things in your own words, significantly different words, not just patch writing, is that it means you really understand the idea. If we say if you can teach something to someone else, then you know it. It's absolutely true. If you know it well enough to explain it to somebody in completely different terms, right? Not defining it with the dictionary definition, with the word itself, then you really know it. So keep that in mind. I'm going to walk you through now an example. So again, I started with this article that I was looking at the other day, Why Johnny Can't Write and Why Employers Are Mad. So I'm just going to use that as my article again. So let me take you to my Word document. Okay, so this is a paragraph that I wrote about this argument. Okay, so I'm going to read it for you. Holland suggested that employers are dissatisfied with their employees' ability to write. One reason for the lack of writing skills in the workplace is that colleges are failing to teach these necessary skills to students. Recent research demonstrated that many employers think, quote, colleges should focus more on writing and written and oral communication, end quote. Although there may be room for colleges and the writing programs to do more to improve student writing, what Holland fails to mention is that perhaps much of the writing instruction that takes place in college classrooms across the disciplines just does not transfer to writing in the workplace. As McCarthy found in her study of undergraduates, people generally do not see how writing tasks are similar from one discipline to another. Thus, it makes sense that new graduates entering the workplace do not see the similarities between writing for college and writing in the workplace. So I just wrote this paragraph just a minute ago. To save time, I didn't actually write it on camera. But let's go back and look at this section. Actually, I don't know if I can put this side by side. Let's see if I can do side by side so that we can actually... Okay, so if we go back to this article, this is the idea that I'm trying to paraphrase here. This idea that Holland says colleges aren't doing a good job teaching writing, and the survey here from the Association of American Colleges and Universities said that employers think colleges should focus more on written and oral communication. And I actually quoted just this small little quote right here. So let's go back and look at how I did that again. Okay, so we see I have I've got summary here, I've got paraphrase, I've got a quotation, and I've got analysis. So I'm just going to skip down to where I already broke it down. So my summary is this very first sentence. I let my reader know that Holland suggested that employers are dissatisfied with their employees' ability to write. That is a summary of that entire article, okay? That main point the article is making before it leads to sort of its like hope or its solution, okay? So that is taking a really big article and condensing it into one sentence. Then I'm going to come in with a paraphrase of a specific idea. One reason for the lack of writing skills in the workplace is that colleges are failing to teach these necessary skills to students. Now, this is, of course, what Holland is suggesting. I'm not suggesting it. I hope that we're teaching these necessary skills. But that's one reason that he's suggesting. Okay, and so I've taken his idea and I've put it into my own words, significantly different words. And actually, let's see if I can just to show you that original. This is what I was trying to do earlier. Okay, this is my original source. Okay. There we go. Okay. So others say colleges aren't doing a good job. So see where mine is significantly different than what they said here. Okay. And then I'm going to go on and include a quote. Quotations, if they're the right quotations, they can make our paper stronger. Of course, remember that APA really preferences paraphrasing over quotations, but that's going to be your choice in this class, how you want to write your papers. If you're not going into an APA heavy field, then you have the freedom to use more quotations. So really, I leave that up to you. I don't have a preference. So recent research demonstrated that many employers think, quote, colleges should focus more on written and oral communication. So there, I have actually taken direct verbiage, but I have quoted it and cited it, okay? So that's the summary of the article in general, the paraphrase of one specific idea, and then the quote that helps support that idea, okay? So that's a nice little package, but I don't know how interesting that paragraph would be, right? I don't really have an argument. I'm really just presenting you with a summary, a paraphrase, and a quote from Holland's article. Here's where I bring in my own idea. And again, thinking back to McKinney Madalena, even if you're choosing not to use the I, we're hopefully understanding that there's a separation between what you're arguing and what you're taking from the text. So here, with my citations, I've really let you know that all these ideas, right, are coming from somebody else. These are not my ideas. These are Holland's ideas. Once I get into my analysis, then hopefully you can see where these are my ideas. Although there may be room for colleges and their writing programs to do more to improve student writing, what Holland fails to mention is that perhaps much of the writing instruction that takes place in college classrooms across the disciplines just does not transfer to writing in the workplace. So hopefully you can tell that now this is me, the writer, and I am picking on Holland a little bit for something that she failed to mention, in my opinion. And then I'm going to bring in McCarthy and talk about the study that you guys all read as part of my support as well. As McCarthy found in her study of undergraduates, people generally do not see how writing tasks are similar from one discipline to another. Thus, it makes sense that new graduates entering the workplace do not see the similarities between writing for college and writing in the workplace. So I have taken my own voice to pick on Holland a little bit, and then I'm going to bring in a little bit of support to help me make my final argument. And my final argument here is going to be that college writing and workplace writing may look very different, and that may be actually one of the reasons why new employees don't come in with what employers see as good workplace writing skills. So I hope this has clarified a little bit the difference between summary, paraphrase, and quote, and then also how to begin an analysis using your own voice. You're going to be working on this with an assignment due early next week. And then again, we'll continue building on these skills. But I want you to think about these as you're doing discussion posts and any other writing, okay?